Welcome to Abolition News Network. This is Melanie Bluegrass, and today is April 1st, 1861. Today we are expanding on our video series where we are looking at the role of religious institutions on slavery in the United States. Those denominations which were for or against slavery, and those which remained neutral. We have with us today a Methodist minister from Atlanta, Georgia, who has claimed this neutral standpoint. Please welcome Neutrality theologian, James Henry Thornwell. Thank you for being here.
I'm honored to be here, Miss Bluegrass.
Mr. Thornwell, a neutral standpoint on slavery, at first glance, seems both contradictory and impossible. How are you able to justify the institution of slavery and not be against it?
That is rather easy. Let's take the Hebrew Scriptures and the New Testament. They both portray societies not only tolerant of, but economically dependent upon slave labor. And the institution is never condemned outright by Jesus. And the Apostle Paul explicitly wrote in Ephesians 6:5 that servants should be obedient to their masters. Pro-slavery and anti-slavery advocates could generally match each other verse for verse and interpretation for interpretation.
So are you saying that God sanctions slavery?
Not necessarily. We need not assume that the existence of slavery in biblical times meant that good Bible-believing Christians should concede that slavery possesses divine sanction, as many slavery advocates in the South concede and insist upon.
So are you concluding that if slavery has divine sanction, that we should just get along with the institution?
Well, Miss Bluegrass, by 1815, Methodists in Georgia and most other southern states had decided to coexist with slavery. You see, we maintain that slavery is a civil institution outside the purview of the church. Hence, religious bodies whose chief goal should be the saving of souls have no business meddling with what is essentially a secular and political institution. It is up to the United States government to decide whether to maintain or to dismantle slavery.
Mr. Thornbush or Thornwell, whatever your name is, I'm the receptionist here, Barbed Wire, and you are expressing the religious philosophy of a coward by saying that the government is responsible for human suffering and no one else is. What about the great Christian commandment, love thy neighbor? And what if your neighbor's black?
I don't know where you went to school, Miss Wire, but what happens if your neighbors are white slaveholders? You have to love them too, correct?
First of all, regarding your first question, I went to the school of common sense. And I don't have to love slaveholders. They violate the Golden Rule and the Ten Commandments by their murdering, their stealing, and you welcome these despots into your church with a smile. Well, tell them to leave their whips and chains at the door.
Yeah, I can understand how you can get two different interpretations from reading the Bible. I mean, what about your personal feelings? Do you own slaves, and how many?
Yes, I'd say about 1/3 of all the southern clergy own slaves, but we treat them well.
So, do you consider yourselves good Christians?
Georgia Methodists hope to correct the abuses we see in slavery every day. But we maintain that Christianity is compatible with the institution of slavery. By converting members of all classes, including slaves, Georgia society as a whole is conforming to Christian principles. In conclusion, let me also speak for old school Presbyterians when I say, in our capacity, we are neither the friends nor the foes of slavery, but rather we have absolutely no commission either to propagate or to abolish slavery.
Ms. Bluegrass, I have a different conclusion. I would like you to consider human suffering brought about by this so-called neutral philosophy. First, you asked Mr. Thornwell if he owned slaves, and he said about 1/3 of the Southern clergy owned slaves. Then he said, yes, but we treat them well, like this, or this, or this. And then he said Methodists encourage slaves to have decent clothing like this, or, and provide legal recognitions for slave marriages. So where does this fit in? And then selling off wives and babies, and then having to live in something like this. Finally, old school Presbyterians are neither friend nor foe of this man.
But Miss Wyatt, you have to look at the big picture. Slaves throughout Georgia lead generally happy lives. Well, look at this old plantation home. They enjoy telling stories. They spend a lot of time with their children. They like music and dance. They even enjoy work. In summary, we have happy slaves who enjoy the warmth of our South with watermelon and sunshine. Here's my slave Sally with some fresh-cut, slave-picked watermelon. I named her after Thomas Jefferson's famed slave, Sally Hemings. Sally, are the slaves in Georgia happy?
Oh yes, Master. Slaves in Georgia, we are so happy, very happy.
And do all the slaves enjoy eating watermelon every day?
Oh, we love watermelon. We eat it every single day.
And are all the slaves happy in the sunshine with their watermelon?
Oh yes, Master. We love lying around in the sunshine.
That's it, Mr. Thornwell. I've had enough of your sunshine and watermelon. Sunshine and watermelon, please. Happy sleeping, watermelon, please. I'll give you happy slave drinking watermelon. How much to be a slave, huh? You want to be a happy slave eating watermelon?
Yes, I can understand this.
Happy slaves eating watermelon? You're crazy.
We may need to overlook some minor abuses and unpleasantries in order to remain neutral. Mr. Thornwell,
Happy
thank you.
slaves, please.
Thank you for your ambiguous conclusions regarding the neutral principles that the spirituality of your Methodist religion has put forth. Abolition News Network, Melanie Bluegrass. Good morning.